Hey, everybody, welcome back to Off the Wall. I'm Mike.
And I'm Sol.
Well, they did it.
Mhm.
They did the thing. We are reached the end of season 1 of The Last of Us. I gotta say, fears abated.
Right?
I was so not sure they were going to stick the landing in the final episode that was only 45 minutes long. Man, they did it. I feel so satisfied. How you feeling, Soul?
Well, as the cars are driving past my house very, very loudly, I think they agree with me that, wow, what an episode in the length of time that they gave us. It was a satisfying ending to the season. It packed an emotional punch, and we got to see a little bit more of Violent Joel. Don't mess with his baby girl.
No, especially because, like, seeing how the two of them are interacting now after everything they've been through,
Mhm.
after everything that's happened, seeing Joel finally just the gates are opened, like there's no more walls with her, and she's getting to experience like who Joel really is, like almost like
Yeah.
who he should have been, who he would be if Sarah had never died, or if the
Yeah.
cordyceps thing had never happened. But we can also see that like the journey has had it's the two of them have inverted,
Mhm.
because now Ellie has lived the 20 years that have turned Joel into who he is. She's lived it all in
Yeah, in like a few months.
in a few months. And so it it just I'm so blown away with
Yeah.
how they pulled all this off.
Well, before we go to like the little prequel that we get at the very beginning
Oh
of
yeah.
the show, but it really is a switch of character because you have Joel as the one talking and like where before we saw like Joel was quiet, Ellie was talking, trying to get Joel to like laugh, trying to do this and that. Where now it's Joel being the more jovial one and Ellie is quiet, and it's understandable why she's quiet. Like, look at what happened to her last episode. But and I think it's a combo of what happened to her last episode and then also like we're almost to where we're supposed to be and the mixed feelings that she probably has with that. Probably, is this going to work? Am I going to help people? Probably all of that in her head. And then we get the inner child again when you see that giraffe.
Oh my god, the giraffe thing. So when I was living in South Carolina at the Riverbank Zoo in Columbia, they have a spot where you can go to and
Mhm.
pay to feed giraffes, and it's the weirdest experience you'll ever. That
They have
tongue
it at
is
the Miami Zoo here
they
too.
do it there too. Yeah. So I was just so like, oh, now I want to go to the zoo and feed the giraffes. You know what it was is it was the Brachiosaurus moment from Jurassic Park is
Mhm.
what it felt like for me too. I love that. I love that scene. Because he
Way
got
better than the monkeys.
monkeys are mean. Giraffes just want to chill.
They
It's not
wanna
their fault.
chill and eat, which my kind of people.
Yeah, it's not their fault they're freakishly tall. They didn't they didn't choose the giant life. They didn't choose the tall king life. It was, yeah, I'm so surprised. It's because like a lot of season finales we've seen like with Mandalorian or well, not Last of Us, but like The Boys, House
Yeah,
of the Dragon. It's like a big, grand, bombastic event.
right.
Um, even and with this one, I just feel like, yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good. Like, if they weren't getting a season 2, I'd be totally satisfied with this
right.
conclusion, because as far as we know, they made it back to the colony, and I think she knows more than she's letting on, but I
Mhm.
think she just kind of resigned herself to be like, "This is my life now."
And this show has always been more about the human condition than it's been about the zombies, and
Mhm.
so to have a season finale that really explores even more of the human condition. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, this feels like not only a good episode, but a good finale.
It does, because and I think people get a little too caught up in the fact that, like, the set piece for this show is the mushroom zombie apocalypse,
Right.
but that's not what the show is about. Like, it's not about the zombies, you're right, it's about what happened to human civilization after the zombie.
Mhm.
It's why it's called The Last of Us. It's about
Yeah.
us, the people, and who's going to be around. It's not The Walking Dead or I Zombie or Z Nation or
Yeah.
Dawn of the
World
Dead,
War Z.
World War Z, where the focus is on the zombies. Like, no, this is about the people,
Right.
and that is what they did in this show is miles away better than anything they did in the last however many seasons of The Last of Us, where it
You mean
stopped
Walking
being,
Dead?
or not the last. Oh my god, that is twice I've done that now because the show is so heavy in my mind. But yeah, like the Walking Dead, where because after a while it stopped being about running and hiding in the woods and became about just trying to have some level of normalcy with the zombies. But I don't think The Walking Dead did it very well because of the tone they'd set in the first era of the show. So this show is like it's doing The Last of Us did what The Walking Dead tried to do in later seasons.
And you even get more of Joel speaking freely about his daughter and even saying too that the reason why he's finally kind of over his daughter's death, like he's always going to love his daughter and miss his daughter and wish that his daughter was still alive, but he's able to move on because he has Ellie now. And so then the thought of losing Ellie, he's not going under no circumstance, even lying to Ellie, is he gonna let anything bad happen to her? And we get to find out too, which when he said, like, "Oh, I got shot," and the other guy missed, and the first time when he says that, you think, "Oh, that's the night that that
Yeah,
he and his daughter get shot, but
yeah,
it wasn't fatal." And then you're like, "Wait, no, it's a head wound." And then you think, "Oh, it must have been when those 20 years where he's being a bad guy."
yeah.
And and then you finally found out this episode, this finale episode, no, this was a headshot that he gave to himself when he tried to kill himself because his daughter was dead.
That hit
Yeah.
hard because for those who don't know, I've spent today was the last show of Rent at the community theater we've been working on. So I've been dealing with a lot of trauma and death and tragedy and doing this show every night, and then to get this and for them to throw that again as someone who's not played the game, for them to throw that at me. Oh, by the way, Joel tried to kill himself. Me, I was just on the couch, just like, oh yeah, that's right. This is the sad show. Uh,
Right.
I forgot this is the sad show every week. So just that whole again, like Pedro and
Papa Pedro.
Bella in this show have just I'm floored. And I
Yeah.
was saying this on the night of the Oscars, which doesn't really apply as
Which I
much.
mean, Pedro is there at the Oscars too, so he wasn't watching the episode because he's at the
Well, he was there. So,
yeah.
it's just yeah, it's so poignant. It's gonna really make people pay attention to
Yeah.
the Emmys next year because the Emmys in general, I think, have really missed the mark the last, I'd say,
Except
5
for
or
Ted
6 years.
Lasso, that has
Except for
been
Ted Lasso.
100% correct.
Yeah, but they've missed more than they've hit the Emmy. I mean, the Oscars for sure, but the Emmys in particular, talking about The Last of Us. So I'm really curious to see what award season is going to look like next year with this
Yeah.
show having come out, but particularly because it came out so early in the year.
Yeah.
Mm,
But it feels like one of those shows that's gonna have a lasting impressions. It feels because you know how Get Out came out before the Oscars of that year was and then got so many awards the following year. Like,
Mhm.
I feel like The Last of Us is going to be that because of just the lasting impression of this show. And even to go to the little like prequel that we get at the very beginning of this episode. So
Oh,
I don't know if you know this, but that actress is the one who
that's Ellie.
voices
Yeah.
Ellie in the video game.
And Bella killed Joel,
Yeah,
video game Joel last episode.
right. And you're like, "Oh, that 100% makes sense why Ellie is the only one who, like, because you kept thinking throughout this episode, and I don't know about you, but I know for sure for me throughout this season, why is it that she,
Yeah.
out of everyone else, is the one that, like, is immune? And then you're like, "That makes sense. Her mom got
Yeah.
bit while she was still, like."
She's Blade.
Yeah.
She's Blade.
She's Blade, and
She's the Daywalker. She's
right,
Blade.
exactly, and the fact that you have that, and the blade is her mom's, and the jacket, the green jacket she wears is her mom's, and the reason why Marlene knew she was special beforehand is because she was there, and so then it answers the question that I had that I posed last, last week was like, okay, how did Marlene know anything before
Yeah.
she ever got bit? It's like, oh, and that makes sense. And the fact too that Marlene had to kill her best friend, Ellie's mother.
Yeah.
And we finally get confirmation. I know we all thought it, but we get confirmation that Ellie did kill Riley.
Yeah. It
So
was yeah.
that kind of, even though it was more than best friends between that, but the fact too that you have two, one confirmed and one kind of shown, of best friend having to kill another one, and that's the world that they live in.
And it all centers around Ellie
Yeah,
too. Plus, I will say, like, it also explains why when you get to episode 1, when the Fireflies are talking to Marlene, why do you care so much? Like, why
right.
are you going to so much trouble to keep this girl? And it's like, it not just because of the cure, but because,
It's her
she's
best friend's
her
child.
best friend's kid. So just a lot of stuff coming full circle. And again, as someone who hasn't played the games, it's got me going, well, shit, now what?
And
Like,
can we just shout out to moms right now? Like,
yeah,
for real, like, her mom was a badass, like,
bro,
pregnant, giving
she
birth,
she
and
killed a zombie mid push.
right, and that reminded, I saw a story earlier this week about a pregnant lady who's a doctor who is
Mhm.
giving birth in the hospital she works at, and the room next to her, there was another woman giving birth and she was having complications and the doctor hadn't arrived yet. So she literally got out of her bed, delivered someone else's baby, and then delivered her own baby right after. And so I was like, shout out to these heroes, these moms. Little spoiler, Everything Everywhere All at Once won the best picture, and like they were just talking about like this award is for all the moms because moms are great and awesome, and like just look at this.
Just thinking about that story, it's like, man, I stubbed my toe in the morning. I'm done. Don't ask me to do shit the rest of the day.
And people say women are weak.
I don't.
I know you don't,
I
but
know who trust me, I know who I am. If I wake up and my nose is a little stuffy, I consider taking a sick day. Like, I'm just which granted
tell
post-COVID
your
is a
mom
little
to make some soup.
oh my god. My mother wants me to get married mostly so she can have somebody else that has to take over the responsibility of me being sick. My mom, when I had food poisoning last month, my mom took such good care of me.
Because
Because
moms are awesome.
they are. She came over because my house was a disaster, and she started cleaning my kitchen because she knew I was too weak
Oh,
to stop her. Because she knows I was
oh.
going to get mad, but I was like, "Mom, what are you doing?" She's like, "I'm cleaning the kitchen." Stop. She's like, What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do to stop me?" And I'm just like,
Lay down.
anyway, we're so off topic. Yeah, no, the whole opening sequence, I wasn't sure. Again, with how it was only a 45-minute episode, I was like, how much time are we gonna spend on this? Because when we got
Yeah.
to after the opening credits or whatever,
Yeah.
and it was still going on, had me going, no, seriously, how much time are we gonna spend on this? Because we got stuff to do. And
Right.
it felt to me like just an appropriate amount of time. I think if that scene had been
Mhm.
any longer or shorter, it
Yeah.
would have either been too encroaching on the rest of the episode
Or too
or
rushed.
not, yeah, or not satisfying enough or
Yeah.
too rushed. So, but that's a testament to this show as a whole, which is the season finale, so we can kind of talk about the whole season as a
Yeah.
whole. This show has done something that is so hard to do, and that is maintained consistent pacing.
Mhm.
Pacing in a movie or a TV show, I am always so complimentary of good pacing
Yeah.
because it's hard to do. It's
Yeah.
hard to get pacing right.
It's hard to get pacing right in any type of storytelling, whether that's a play, a book, a movie, a TV show. Pacing is one of the hardest things to get right. And the fact that every episode, every minute of the show feels significant.
And a lot of pacing goes in, you credit a lot of that to editors. And I'm
Yeah.
bringing that up specifically right now because there's some stuff going on with editors in Hollywood, which people pay your editors.
Yeah. Can you
As the
pay
guy, can
people for their work? Like,
we just do that,
please?
please? Looking at you, certain network with a certain late night show on weekends. But yeah, it's such a huge testament to the editors. I mean, a lot of it's in the writing and directing too, but like
Mhm.
you can easily edit the pace.
Yeah.
And so seriously, like I cannot say enough like how good the pacing of this entire season has been. Even though I was like like we mentioned last week, like I was a little apprehensive about like we only got one more episode left. Like, how are we gonna do? And you even said yourself, like the pacing has been very good. So there was that comfort of like so far I haven't had any issues. So with only one episode left, and also because last year in particular, we had such a string of shows that didn't stick the final episode.
Yeah.
Shows that we like,
Yeah.
just even like their finale. We had a lot of bad
And
season
and I
finales
mean, and
here.
then it made Bogz right, which we can never allow that to
No,
happen.
sure. Every time, no matter how much he was enjoying it, like, I don't think they're gonna nail it in the finale. And then they didn't. And it's like, well, damn it.
Or even
How
when
is
he
that
didn't,
for
he's
two?
like, "This show's crap," and then we get the finale, and we're like, "Well, that was crap," and he's like, "I told you," and we're like, "Shut up."
Whatever. Yeah, no, but but seriously, like for them to have maintained it as this well over 9 episodes, 9, the amount of when you look at like other than the first episode, none of these episodes have been particularly long. They've all
Right.
clocked in just under an hour. Um, with this one being the shortest one of the season, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Uh, but the amount of story they've been able to tell in that time without moving so fast that I'm like that I don't know what the hell's happening.
Yeah.
It's just it's a testament and that's I think why I'm so like I usually don't
Yeah.
get too invested in award shows, but like Emmys, like this is the if this doesn't check all your boxes, what does?
Exactly, and it's kind of one of those things that it was something that you and I kept saying about, like, the Disney Plus shows, is we're like, the episode lengths could be however long or short you need them to be to tell the story, and you can have as many episodes as you need to tell the story, and the fact that they were like, "Hey, I only need 9 episodes, and this episode's gonna be an hour and a half, and this episode's gonna be 43 minutes, and this episode's gonna be 58 minutes," and they played with the time, they knew what they needed instead of being like, "Okay, well, we're gonna need, 6 30 something minute episodes, each week, and it has to be exactly this." It's just like, you I hate when, like, you're confining artist to that kind of restraint. Like, I can understand with network television why you had to do that, but
Sure.
this is streaming. You don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah, that's how you get the Justice League. That's what happens. Well, it's part of what happened there, but
There was a lot more wrong with that,
but that's how you get problems with that when you start when you start forcing filmmakers, television filmmakers, whatever you want to call it,
It's
um,
pretty much filmmaking because 'cause they're using the same equipment
yeah,
and working with, like it's just their film is now
yeah.
several hours
So,
long
so whether
instead
you're
of just
filmmaking for the big screen or the small
yeah.
screen, like when you start telling the people making the content that they have to start cutting for time,
Mhm.
that's like cutting for content is one thing. I'm always in favor of
Yeah.
cutting for content. If what you're cutting, like if you're going to cut something, you want to make sure that you're not sacrificing the story,
Mhm.
but you also want to make sure you're not sacrificing time, because if you're just trying to shorten something for the sake of shorting it, as somebody who used to make my alma mater would do a film festival every year, but they had it could only be 5 minutes exactly.
Yeah.
When you start editing for that, that's tough because you
Yeah.
start to realize just how long a couple seconds can be.
Mhm.
You think, oh, I must have trimmed out 5 minutes from that movie. No, you trimmed out 10 seconds. Like it's crazy how much
Yeah.
that all adds up. So I'm so glad HBO just told them, do what you got to do. Like make them
Yeah.
as long as you need to be, as opposed to like you said, like a lot of Disney Plus shows. It's like, all right, you get 6 30-minute episodes, but really 25 because you got 5 minutes of credits, which is basically what network television does. So.
Yeah. And looking at this show, it does what you want a season of television to do, is answer the questions that
Mhm,
it gave at the beginning of the show and throughout the show, but then also leave it open-ended enough that you wanna come back.
mhm,
So we got the answer of why Ellie is as special as she is. We got the answer of why Marlene was so protective of Ellie.
mhm.
We get the we didn't even know that we wanted the answer to it, but we got the answer of why Joel has was shot in the
Yeah.
side of the head. Um, but we have Joel lied to Ellie, and you know Ellie's gonna find out.
I think she already knows
And
because
she might already know, yeah.
the way that she was like looking at her own arm wound, it felt to me like she was putting it together. Like if I was being looked at and experimented on and tested on, like where are the marks? You know what I mean? Because she's got the one from where she had the IV in her or whatever. But other than that, she's just kind of looking at it like something doesn't. She's a smart kid. She's like something
Yeah.
doesn't add up here. And I think also just because she knows Joel so well, I think she was just
Mhm.
like
I think
she knows
sh
when he's lying.
I think she would have been like, because Joel gave the story of there was people like you, and they tested and it didn't work.
Mhm.
Then if that was the case, why were they putting her for
Yeah,
surgery? So, she knows that he's not completely telling the truth, but I feel like in the when season 2 starts, if it's still the same age and it's not a time jump,
yeah, because
it
we have no
might because
idea.
we have no idea, um, that she might be willfully ignorant. Oh, my sound came through. On your side, she might go, um, "You know what? Even though my better judgment knows that Joel is lying right now, he promised to me that he wasn't, so I'm just gonna choose to believe him even though I know that it's not correct." 'Cause that
Yeah.
happens all the time in human with the human brain and the human condition. Sometimes, like, you know something's a lie, but you're like, "I'm just gonna choose to believe it anyways."
Well, it's also one of those like, I know this is a lie. I don't have any way to prove it. You know, she knows him well enough to think there's might be a good reason why he's lying to her.
Mhm.
There might not be. I think it's going to be one of those. She's going to wait for him to to say it himself, so she can be like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I knew." Like, dick, you know.
Yeah.
But I also I do wonder that too. Like, I don't know where the next game picks up, so I don't know where the next story picks up. And again,
Mhm.
they've already, from what we understand, deviated from the game several times in this show. So who's to say
Yeah.
you
Is
do?
this game players you're allowed to spoil this part. Is this how the game ends? Tell us down in the comments below.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't really want to know anything. I've looked because after we did last week's episode, because I say this every week, I went and watched the side by sides of comparing like the scenes in the episode to the game. And again, I think I messaged you in our group chat too, like the fight with Ellie and creepy culty dude whose name I'm forgetting.
David, I think.
David was like, holy shit. Like the design of the room they're in, the growth of the fire, the dialogue, the like everything about it. I was just like,
her axing him.
Just oh man, it was like they could have just used the footage from the game. They might as well just use the footage from the game. Like that's how well they recreated it. And again, like testament to the behind the scenes, like the production team on this show. Like the production designers on this show must have just like had a field day. Like, dude, let's go do some shrooms and then design the mushroom zombie apocalypse. And it came out just a beautiful. I like to quote Ellie from 2 episodes in this show. It's got its ups and downs. That view.
Yeah, some snaps to the production designers because both and the scouting people because the landscape is fucking beautiful. So like just already you have the beautiful landscape and then you add the production side that you put on it. So literally all the people behind the camera for this show like deserve all the awards, all the praise because not only are the actors phenomenal, but like all the work put into the show about everyone behind the scenes and even to like the attention to detail from the game, like what the characters are wearing too. It's just it's good. And I've never played the game, so I'm not that attached. So I can just imagine people who did play the game like that's what she wears when this happens. Like
it's the shirt. It's the shirt.
It's the shirt.
I saw that in a lot of reactions after the episode when it was when they got to Bill and Frank's place. Like, she's wearing the shirt.
Right. It's like when they do the thing that like you read in a book and then they do it in the adaptation. You're like, they did the thing.
Now, see, for me, I'm like Peter from Family Guy. I'm like that whenever they say the name of the thing in the thing. So, you know, I'm just saying, what if this is all? What is this is as good as it gets? Ah, he said the thing. Yay. Yeah, I'm really, and I know it's going to be a bit till we get it, but I'm really anxious for another.
Pedro is real busy.
He is. I can't wait to see what's next. I can't wait to see what's next in this story. Like, man, I want the next season because I'm so into this world. I want more, and I want to know. And it's a testament to Pedro and Bella. Like, I'm so like I loved her in Game of Thrones. She was great. Just fantastic. Fantastic in this season.
Yeah.
Like all the doors just opened for her.
Right. Like, and the thing is how young she is too, which that was the case when she was in Game of Thrones. People were like, the gravitas that this child has. And now
where's her spinoff?
Right.
Oh wait, that's
right. Can we get it? Like HBO Max. Can we get that?
There's not much story to tell with her character because she was so young and then she died. So there's not a lot of story to tell.
Hey, if they can make Sigourney Weaver, a 14-year-old alien from Navi, they can make Bella Ramsey younger in a spin-off show. But she's 19 years old. And the fact that she's so good at her age, it's just the talent in her tiny body.
That girl could fit in my pocket. Jeez. Yeah, it's I'm truly floored. And Pedro as well. Like
he's just been good forever, and I'm glad that he's getting the recognition that he deserves. He was kind of getting it a little bit for Mandalorian, and he's getting it even more for this because like he was good on Game of Thrones, he was good in Narcos, and
it's great in Narcos.
Oh, so good. So like just give him all his flowers,
Yeah.
and he looks damn sexy too. So like, add
it,
that on top.
it is
He's a
interesting.
zaddy.
It's great to see the different levels we're getting from him because he's so good in The Mandalorian.
Hmm.
But The Mandalorian, Din Djarin as a character, like we kind of just know what he's all about.
Hmm.
Um, whereas with Joel, there's still a lot more to discover.
Yeah.
Like the way, if I could put it this way, like Joel is a character that has existed for a long time, and we're digging into his layers, as opposed
Yeah.
to the Mandalorian is a character that's still figuring out who he's going to be.
Are
Just
his layers an onion or a cake?
you're an onion. You know what? You know, everybody likes parfaits. I never heard anybody say, "Oh no, I don't want no damn parfait." Uh, I love that movie so much. But
Let
with
us know in the comments if you understand our reference. If you do, you'll make us very happy.
and if you don't, I don't care to know you. But with Mando, like we're seeing him put on the layers. He's
Yeah.
developing that, so it's cool to see him getting to see having this almost Merlin from King Arthur effect, where he's going in two different directions with these characters, and I love watching him on screen.
Yeah. And I'm here for it. Cast him in all the things and give him a child or small creature to watch after. And that should just be all the shows on TV
Yeah,
going forward.
he's the new he's the new lone wolf and cub is what it
Yep.
is. He's the hawk and chick. It's I'm here for it. Yeah, I guess final thoughts, just like what an outstanding season of television, one of the best seasons of television I've watched in the last few years. I like this is going up there with like House of the Dragon season 1, The Boys season 3, the Orville season 3, The Sandman season 1. Like, man, last year was such a good year for TV, and this year is already like off to a
Yeah.
great start.
Yeah. This year, like, it's gonna be really hard for a show to top this. And right now, you have The Mandalorian and The Bad Batch, and both are really good. And we've had a really good episodes of
Mhm.
those recently. Um, and yet right now this is still number 1 for me for the year, and
Yeah.
it will probably like, I wouldn't be surprised if it's number 1 at the end of the year.
And it's now 12:19 a.m. On
On the East
Monday
Coast.
on the East Coast, Monday, March 13th. 2 days from now, Ted Lasso starts for
Oh
season
my
3.
gosh, the final
Like
season.
like I
That's gonna, like, give me feels, but in the other way
yeah.
direction, where, like, The Last of Us gave me feels like, "This is such a tragic and sad story," and then, like, Ted Lasso's gonna be like, "This is so happy, I'm crying because I'm happy."
The Last of Us is sad show.
Yes.
Ted Lasso is glad show.
Yeah. We're getting
And
it at the perfect time,
oh,
honestly.
yeah, no, yeah, because after 9 weeks of The Last of Us, I need Ted Lasso. I need Ted Lasso
I
right
need to
now.
believe.
I need to believe because again, like The Last was one of the most well-made television shows I've seen in a long time. My heart can't take any more. I need glad show.
I was watching the episode, and it was one of those where, like, man, I am really the definition of, like, a millennial Gen Z, like, because I had the Oscars on the TV, and then I was watching the show on my laptop,
Nerd.
and, like, my mom's, like, watching the house, and I jump, like, because of, like, the first kill that he has, which I
Mhm.
know he was gonna do it, but I still like the sound design in this episode and throughout the show was so good that it really, like, really makes your heart beat. And it was one of those where, because I was also watching the Oscars, All Quiet on the Western Front won best, score, and I
Mm.
was like, "Oh, yeah, when I was watching that movie,
Wait, it
this is"
did?
Yes. The music really helps, like, gives you anxiety as well when you're watching the movie. And the sound design really gives you anxiety as you're watching the movie.
Mhm.
And that's exactly this show. It's like you have the phenomenal acting, you have the phenomenal set design, you the production, the visuals, but then you also the sound plays such an important role in movies and in TV, and the fact that you can be hearing the sound of this music and it really get your heart racing to the point that you are oh like
That's how I felt last week when Ellie was like, I remember thinking the sound design with Ellie in the woods hunting
yeah,
was
so
so good. The
good.
sound design of the clickers is, I mean, they really just top to bottom, the show crushed it. And
Yeah.
I can't wait for more. Like, I can't wait to go back and like rewatch this. I can't wait to just, and now that we finished the season, now I can go give the game a try and really compare for myself. And I guess according to everybody, I need to keep account of how many times I die. Apparently, I guess
Yeah, that's what people said is the most unrealistic part of the show is that Joel didn't die like
a
hundreds of
lot.
times.
Yeah. So so I'm gonna give that a shot and see what we think. Yeah, can't wait to come back here and but I'm ready for I'm ready for Glad Show.
Mhm.
So
I am too.
all right, guys. What we did it. We got to the end. Whether you're watching this with us live or watching it on the replay, we hope you guys enjoyed the season as much as we did. Hope you enjoyed hanging out with us every Sunday as we talked about it. Let us know down below like what you thought of the season. Please don't spoil what's coming next. Just don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. And let us know if there's another show you guys want us to check out and do live reviews to. Hey, look, we just crossed 200 subscribers. Like, thank you guys so much. We're gonna do something. We're figuring it out. Now that I'm done with rent and actually have time to do something,
Yeah.
uh, we'll do that for you guys very soon. But thank you guys for the support.
And shout out to Ambling Soul here. She's halfway through.
Working till I am done. Appreciate it. Yeah. Oof.
Oof is the
Oof.
correct
Oof.
so Ambling Soul when you come back and watch the full episode of our full review of us. Yeah, let us know what you think in the comments because
Oof.
oof is
How
correct.
many oofs do you give this episode? Out of
Num
10? How out of 10? How many oofs does this episode and does this show get? Uh Man, I don't know what else to say. So we're gonna bounce because it's late and
Yeah, it's almost 12:30.
I got to nap. Thank you guys. We'll be back again soon, and we'll see you next time.